Well, if it isn't you, that's right, up top. We're on the second shower of 2026, everybody. If you have hit your third one, congratulations. Now, let's talk about what I want for Overwatch in 2026. What I want. Me, Frogger Overwatch. Well, this channel does say not Frogger. Trust me, I'm the real deal. That other guy, he's not real. Now, I wanted to talk a bit about, what I want for Overwatch in 2026. Originally, I was going to do a video with, like, the future of Overwatch and what I think is going to be happening. I got no idea, man. I wish I could tell you. I'm just going to kind of, like, make some things that I want to see from Overwatch in 2026. You know what I wrote on the list? You want to hear it? I wrote, Zarya gets nerfed. I don't think I was thinking straight because that's just not going to happen. The other one is Overwatch Mobile. I mean, that could happen. You know, I thought that was going to happen last year. That's the whole reason why I turned on my face cam for, the whole thing. Like, the whole joke was I had my face cam on at the event. They announced, Overwatch Mobile. And then boom, easiest clip farm of my life. You know what I mean? Boom, 4 million views. Greatest time of my life. You know what I mean? But then they didn't announce Overwatch Mobile. So I'm kind of bummed about that. I had my whole reaction ready. I was going to be like, oh my God, I wouldn't, it's whatever. Anyways, moving on. So, this Overwatch season has kind of sucked as well. I wanted to get that one out of the way. There might be another rant or two on this channel about some stuff relating to Overwatch, just before season 20 comes to an end. Because season 21, we get a big gameplay shakeup, rank reset, hopefully some big fixes to the game and any issues that people have had. The reason why I think the balance patches have been kind of lackluster, my original reason was because they were balancing to make sure OWCS didn't have to learn a whole new meta right before Stockholm or something like that. But then I'm like, okay, Overwatch doesn't care that much about OWCS, you know what I mean? But the other reason is just because there might be a big gameplay shakeup that they kind of need to not really change too many characters because they will be getting changed massively in season 21. Who knows what it could be, man? It could be Lucio finally becomes a DPS hero or something like that. That would be pretty fun. So where do I start with this list? All right, let's start with the just hot take of the day. This is something I've seen debated on Twitter for months on end. I've seen so many people talk about it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm here to play on the side of disagreeing with the majority of those people. Overwatch needs to do more heroes going forward. And I'm not saying that 12 heroes a year like Marvel Rivals has. I was going to say that they kind of have a quantity of a quality thing going on, but with a lot of their characters coming forward, Rogue is really fun to play. Gambit's really fun to play. I need to try out Deadpool when he releases, but he does look really, really fun and kind of like my playstyle of just being super trolly and all that sort of stuff. Some of their new characters that they've been releasing on a monthly basis have been pretty good, but their downfall is obviously their balancing for that game absolutely sucks, right? I still enjoy the game either way. It's chaotic and fun. You know what I mean, right? But nothing really dies if there's triple support. Okay, I'm going to stop flaming Rivals. I like the game, okay? But I think Overwatch really does need to do the whole more heroes going forward, right? And it's not for the reason you think. Yes, more gameplay updates of heroes and all that sort of stuff is good for a lot of content creators to make videos on. I can find another character that I personally enjoy. They can add Lucina, Lucio's friendly sister or something like that, who has the exact same abilities as him. But if Lucio gets banned and ranked, I can just play Lucina. But her ultimate is basically she slows down time and does a backflip. I don't really know, man. She might be awesome. Anyways, but it's just more so I just kind of want another character to be with Lucio and all that sort of stuff, right? I just still haven't found another character on here that gives me the same itch that Lucio does. You know what I mean? It's like Vendetta is really fun, but if you're playing 5v5 role queue, I can't really swap to this character. You know what I mean? And Doomfist is also fun, but I'm also still playing support, so I can't really go support Doomfist unless that's a rework for him. Maybe they've given up on Doom being a tank and they're going to make him a support next season. That would be pretty cool. He's Slam doing a big AoE heal or something like that. That would be pretty sick. But it simply just comes down to Overwatch's hero design has gotten so much more boring over time. And I'll say it, man. I think most of these characters, they don't move me as much as the OG cast. You know what I mean? And more so, if you're someone that was only getting into Overwatch or hadn't really heard of it in 2015, I was playing League of Legends. I was playing Call of Duty Black Ops 3, with 40-year-old dudes who had wives and kids, all that sort of stuff. I was 16 years old being like, oh, is that your son in the background? That's crazy. And he's like, oh, mate, don't ever have kids, okay? They'll ruin your life. And I'm like, oh, okay. But it's more so, what was I trying to say? So we can actually have the opportunity to have more oddball characters going forward. Because what is the one thing that is in common with every single character past Ramatra? They're all damn humans. And I kind of sound like Ramatra right now, getting absolutely furious at humans. Bender Rodriguez, kill all humans, you know what I mean? But I'm just basically saying that it gets to a point where you release human after human after human after all, that I just kind of don't really get moved by these characters. I'm not really interested that much. I don't care for Wu Young. I don't like this character at all. I simply just see him as an industry plant at this point. You know, the way people see Kiriko is the way I see Wu Young, right? He's a cool character. His gameplay is really fun and all that sort of stuff. But he's from Water College, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. If I wanted to watch something with an elemental like feel to it, I'd go watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know what I mean? But maybe this character simply isn't for me because, you know, I'm 27 years old, I think. I don't really know anymore. But all that sort of stuff, right? But going back to what I was, is if they did 6 heroes a year, they could have 3 human characters, and then they could have 3 oddball-like characters. You know, they could have another, like, Winston-like character, where it's, like, maybe this jetpack cat, for example, right? Or they can have another Omnic character, where it's someone who's in the Freaks. I know there's another Ravager bot that's in, like, the Freaks from Hazard's comic or something like that. That would be cool. Someone who, there was an Omnic in the Cassidy reunion one with Ash. There was like a sniper-like Omnic who was super cool. There's characters like Case, for example. You know, there's a whole bunch of characters you guys might not have really heard of, because if you haven't read the comics or gone through the lore, you probably haven't heard of a whole bunch of these characters. Even the stuff from the Overwatch PvE, you know, the puller, right? The lady with the big tentacles on her head. I'll try and chuck an image up on screen to show you who it is, but she'd be an awesome character for the game to just like pull in enemies or something like that. We need like an assassin-like Omnic to be put into the game. That would be absolutely awesome, right? Because when you have an Overwatch universe, sci-fi futuristic universe with, you know, Omnics, talking animals, Australian terrorists and all that sort of stuff, right? Really cool, unique characters. And you kind of sit there in the studio and go, yeah, let's make another human because we're just trying to sell skins of these characters. You're kind of losing me a bit. You're kind of losing a lot of players as well that got into this universe for really unique and crazy characters, right? And do bear in mind, there are some awesome human-like characters on the roster. I'm not saying kill all humans like Bender is. You know, I'm basically saying, like, Sig is an awesome character. Jungle Queen, absolutely wonderful character. Love her. She's awesome. Widowmaker is awesome. I do like Juno. I do like, you know, this character and all that sort of stuff. She's great. She's lovely. You know what I mean? There is some, like, Ana, 6-year-old sniper. This sort of stuff really turned heads back in 2016 when Overwatch first came out. And I feel like one of the things they're missing is that simple thing of like, yo, Overwatch is releasing a character like that. That's sick. I gotta play it and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I feel like if I kind of quit Overwatch for a long time and I just saw, oh, they're releasing another human character that's like 20 years old, attractive and young and skinny and buff and all that sort of stuff, I personally wouldn't really care. You know what I mean? It's like, I want to see some crazy stuff. I want to see Mama Hong. I want to see more Omnics. I want to see more talking animals. I want them to do all that stuff. And with them doing more heroes, that means they can still do free humans, and then they can do you know, more oddball like characters that really turn heads. They can experiment a lot more and get a lot more crazier. And I understand at the end of the day, Overwatch is a business. It needs to make money and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, that's my hot take on the thing. A lot of people basically say they should stick to 3 heroes a year, but I just don't think it cuts it anymore. A lot of other games release content so frequently and so quickly that Overwatch could up it just by a little bit and see how it goes. You know what I mean? If people don't really like it, they can slow down a little bit. You know what I mean? People aren't really liking the influx of how many mythics we're getting every single season because it feels like they're degrading in quality. That's fine. Now, this one, obviously going into, that's the more years oddballs talk. Moving on to the next one, I want 6v6 to go back to the core version of Overwatch. I know a lot of people won't agree with it. That's totally fine. But I really think Overwatch should do like a season or like half a season where they try out, just get rid of 5v5 and maybe ranked or quick play, and just do a role queue only version of it, of 6v6, to see if the players like it, if the tank queues do improve a little bit, if people have a lot more fun with it. I feel like, once again, it kind of feels like you cut off one friend when Overwatch 2 was a thing. Tank synergies are gone, right? I feel like, you know, tuning into a lot of tank streamers now, they're kind of just depressed playing the game, you know what I mean? Because, you know, it's like most of the time they're on their own. They don't really have someone to back them up. But I look into the more so into most of the streamers that are streaming 6v6. They look so passionate. They're having so much fun. Like, Kimski is one of those streamers, for example, who she looks absolutely so, like, locked into every single game she's playing. She's a Zarya player. You know, she plays, like, a lot of other, like, tanks and all that sort of stuff, right? But she seems locked in like crazy. Same with Six as well. You know, I've never seen, like, those two guys, like, locked in like crazy. When they were 5v5, they're a lot more laid back and all that sort of stuff. But I feel like more so just, it feels like there's a lot more passion in 6v6's, you know, queue and all that sort of stuff. And you're someone that hasn't queued 6v6, I recommend trying it out. It's kind of the game mode that has all the streamers. It has all the more so casual players. If you counter toxic people in there, flick them on the nose or something like that, because like, this is the casual game mode. If you're not looking to go pro on Overwatch or something like that, 6v6 is a great place to, you know, go and all that sort of stuff. And you might bump into me, you know what I mean? So it's a win-win. Now, going on to the stuff as well, Overwatch really needs to add a server select to their game. This is something that was a thing at one point where you could actually, choose which region you want to play on, Europe, Asia, or Americas, right? But they did remove it. You can only play on whatever your ping is closer to. You have to use a VPN to play on certain servers, which is what I do. I play on West Coast servers because that's where most of the games are. East Coast is a little bit more popular, actually very much more popular, but it's 210 ping for me. So it's a little bit of a pain in the butt to play, well against a lot of characters in there, right? So I don't really like playing on it as much, right? But there are a lot of regions in Overwatch that are just simply dead. And even I kind of experienced today when I was queuing arcade to do the Spirit Showdown game mode. It's day 2 of this game mode being out, right? And the queue times all say 7 minutes, 7 minutes, 7 minutes. And when it says 7 minutes, that means it's not 7 minutes. It's usually going to be a 10 to 20 minute queue if you're solo queuing. It's very irritating. It's very annoying. And I feel like adding a server select to this sort of thing would help out a lot. Because Australia is kind of a dead region once you kind of get to higher MMRs in quick play. Because yes, there is MMR in quick play. And my problem is that, okay, let me queue Australia, let me queue Singapore, let me queue Tokyo, let me queue Korea so I can have faster queue times, right? And it's the same sort of issue with arcade. There's too many game modes here to not, like, why have they not decided to do a multi-queue, right? Let me queue up Showdown Shuffle. Let me queue 3v3, CTF Blitz, all these game modes. I don't think I played a game of CTF Blitz in ages. Like, we could just queue up for it right now, and by the time this video is done, we're still in a queue for it because, number 1, my MMR is so high, and number 2, Australia is a dead region, and it desperately needs a server select, so most of these smaller regions become more alive. You know what I mean? And for example, South America, I think I have a couple of viewers have come to me and basically said that in Stadium, for example, the servers have been absolutely crap at the bed a lot of the times. And the simple fix to that, or a band-aid fix at the time, is they could play on a different server. Slightly higher ping, but hey, the servers wouldn't be doing as bad simply because at least they have normal dedicated 80 ping or something like that if they VPN to like West Coast, East Coast. I don't know what it's like for South American servers, VPN and all that sort of stuff, right? But that would be a sort of fix to that sort of thing. So server select for the game would be absolutely great. I don't know why they haven't added it yet. I really do not see what their reasoning of why they haven't added something like that. It's in custom games, you could straight up pick what server you want to play on. Australia, US Central, South Korea, Saudi Arabia. Like, there's so many servers here. Taiwan, like, you can play on so many servers in custom games. You can't do it in the core game. I don't know why. It's like I queue up 6v6. And Aspen's also queuing 6v6. We're in range to play together, right? But if we do, our queues get longer, right? So we solo queue in hopes of bumping into each other, right? We never bump into each other because Aspen gets East Coast games and I get West Coast games. It's like, let me just queue on East Coast, West Coast, and there's so many issues fixed to queue times. You know what I mean? It's just, whatever. You know what I mean? But that's my sort of thing out of the way. I really need something like that added to the game. I feel like it would be a big fix, especially for console players as well, because they can't VPN. There you go. There's a gigantic fix. It makes your game more alive, a lot more populated, and all that sort of stuff. You know what it is. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Stadium. This is just a small thing about Stadium. Actually, it's quite a big thing. I feel like Stadium's a pretty dead game mode once you get to the higher ranks. If you start hitting All-Star and Legend, you start versing the same people over and over again. Once again, a server select would also be a big fix to this sort of thing. But I'm gonna be honest, once they were fully confident on doing Stadium with crossplay competitive, just keeping it as one game mode, but they backtracked on it and then went to quick play, I don't care. I think you should just get rid of the quick play version of it. Go competitive only, and then just make it crossplay. And if you want to turn off crossplay, you can do that sort of thing. The queue times in Stadium are an absolute joke. I have not been able to queue support that much at all. That I've almost hit all-star on tank and damage because I queue all roles, and I never get a single game on support ever. Unless I'm duoed with someone that's also queuing all roles, then there's a very small chance that I get support. But it's impossible to get games on support. I feel like crossplay might, mean that more people actually queue up for the mode because the queues will be faster for supports, for DPSs, for tanks, all that sort of stuff across the board. And it's like, I don't care if I'm versing someone with aim assist in Stadium. It is I like Stadium. I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. They try to make the game mode competitive. I simply do not think they should be making it competitive. It's a very for fun game mode. It should be kept as a for fun casual game mode. And that's the good part about it. You can still get competitive points without the ranked anxiety of going into competitive and getting flamed. That's a wonderful thing. And I feel like if they just go competitive only, just one game mode format, and go add crossplay, there would be so many great things just to, fix of it, right? They were fully eager to try out best of 5 for, crossplay, right? They were eager to try out all these other things for Stadium, but then they backtracked on it. Why not just try crossplay competitive for one season in that game mode alone? Don't put crossplay in core competitive. That's a whole other can of worms, okay? You will make Flats come back to the game and make a 1-hour rant video. You don't want that. You don't want that. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Now, I guess map reworks going into 2026, right? Or more so, more maps in general. If you were out of the loop, Overwatch's core game mode only got one new map this entire year, which was Atlas. Sorry, excuse me. I just had a nice juicy steak. Oh, my big belly. Anyways, we had Atlas this year. And if you're someone that is like me, I like Flashpoint. I don't mind Atlas. I think it's it's probably the worst out of the 3 maps, right? But it's still a fun map to play from time to time. You know, I would take it over Watchpoint Gibraltar. I would take it over Parisia. You know, I would take it over a lot of maps, right? I love Flashpoint. But in most cases, I'm in a small minority here because a lot of people in the Overwatch player base hate Flashpoint. They would rather play King's Row over and over again until they die. That's fine. That's up to you. Don't vote it in my games. I'll be very upset if you do. But some Overwatch maps do need some reworks going forward. We do need some new maps as well going into the game. A lot of maps went to the stadium thing. A lot of people were saying, oh, stadium and core Overwatch has different teams and all that sort of stuff. But fun fact of the day, we recently learned that the stadium map team is also the core Overwatch map team. So that's why we didn't get really many maps going into 2025 and more of it went to stadium, right? I would love to see the stadium maps be put into the core version of Overwatch, right? Some of them reworked to be, you know, core maps, right? Arena Victoria, I mean, my head's blocking it, right? But this was a really cool map in stadium. I like it a lot. Definitely could expand on this one massively. Payload Race, keep that out of core Overwatch for the love of God. Place La Croix, it's a cool push map. Redwood Dam is awesome. I love it so much. It's so cool. Wuxing University, Water College. You know I was just flaving Water College and all that sort of stuff, but it's a gorgeous looking map. It looks really, really good. It would be awesome to have that sort of thing in the core game. I don't know why, like, if they don't announce that, they're announcing, like, some of the maps that were already in Stadium being added to the core game mode, so it's like, I don't know. To me personally, I feel like maps are just important as heroes, just because from a content creator's perspective, I feel like I'm annoying you guys if I do maps on Rialto over and over again. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to upload this video because it's another Rialto game, right? You know, I had that issue in Overwatch 1 where I would have so many good games on Temple of Anubis, where I was like, I hope the viewers aren't getting really annoyed that I keep posting Anubis videos, but that's where I'm having my best games. You know, Rialto, I always have my best games on, and like some of the funny stuff happens, so I'm like, I hope I'm not annoying you guys by doing the same maps over and over again. But another thing they could do, if they're not doing a whole bunch of maps going into 2026, is bring back the day-night cycles. They used to have Busan Overcast, right? They would have a nighttime Havana. They would have, you know, they have nighttime Esperanza. I've seen it with my own eyes. They've had daytime Kings Row. They've had daytime Shimbali. They are just sitting in the Overwatch dev client. They use it for trailers and all that sort of stuff, but they don't put it into the core game. Where is it? Where is it, Team 4? Why aren't they in the game? Put them in the game, because, hey, if you're watching it from a YouTuber's, like a viewer's perspective, it's like, oh, you know, I haven't seen this game before because it's daytime Kings Row. Wow, this is a different version of him booping someone off the map because it's daytime outside. You know what I mean? So, yeah, new maps, more reworks. Antarctica Peninsula is getting reworked. Hollywood, I think, should get reworked. Parisia needs a rework badly. That is the least played map in the entire game. I don't see anyone ever pick it ever. I never see it in the map voting ever. It is wild, right? I hope we get to see some more maps in some more locations. I want another Australia map. I know I'm greedy. I'm being like a Kiriko main right now, but I really want a more city-based Australia map, even if it doesn't fit into the lore perfectly. You know, even if maps where it's like, it's kind of just a bit all over the place and a bit crazy, a bit more weird, right? The Mars map that they like asked about in a survey a while back would be a really cool idea. But honestly, it's probably going to be a stadium map. Let's be honest for a second. We're going to get a Mars colony map, and it's going to be in stadium only. Now, going back to the practice range, hero reworks. There is meant to be a lot of hero reworks going forward into 2026. Water break. So I wanted to give you time to think about that as well. I look at the Overwatch hero roster, and I'm like, who the hell needs a rework? Like, you could say, voice crack, by the way. You could say Mercy, right? But Mercy players are going to kill you if you rework this character. You could say Moira players are going to kill you if you rework this character, right? You could say Lifeweaver, but Lifeweaver players are going to kill you if you rework this character. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know. I generally have no idea, because they did say in a dev interview that there was going to be more reworks going into 2026, right? I feel like the only character that could potentially get reworked is Sombra, right? She gets banned so much in the lower ranks. She doesn't really get banned much in my rank because I like playing against Sombra. It's like a cat and mouse game. I like getting chased by an invisible woman. It's fun, you know what I mean? And then I find I'm like, pew, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But to be honest, even if this character was a piece of walking bacteria, people would still ban her every single game because of the trauma that she's given a lot of Overwatch players over the past couple of years. It's crazy Brig has gotten off scot-free, you know what I mean? Even though she terrorized, Overwatch, and it's the whole reason for role queue existing and all that sort of stuff, right? It's kind of crazy, but, Sombra, she can be walking bacteria. They're still gonna ban her every single game, right? The only characters, it's like, would you rework some characters into some different roles, right? Vendetta coming out as a DPS was like, oh, okay, we didn't get a tank in 2025. That's weird. So does that mean Vendetta should be reworked into a tank? Probably not, because she just came out, right? Maybe Mei as a tank, or maybe Sombra into a support character. I don't really know. There's going to be more reworks. This one's kind of just the stuff that I'm asking you guys. Who do you personally think is going to get reworked going into 2026? I have no idea, man. It's like maybe they're reworking characters for 6v6. Sorry. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't even know why I wrote this one down on the list. I got nothing to even go off with this one, man. This is more so a prediction, but we already know they're going to be doing reworks, right? Now this one is such a backwards, basketball into the hoop while butt naked. This one's not happening at all. It's just not going to happen. But Overwatch needs a workshop update. It has been something that I've wanted for ages. There are some talented people in the community still making workshop stuff to this day. Big shout outs to Malga Nipple PvE. If you have not played that already, it's an absolute treat of a game mode to play while in queue for Overwatch Ranked. It is absolutely amazing. There's also another creator, Javofo or something like that makes some really cool stuff. You've probably seen the dude's YouTube shorts or TikToks or anything like that, where they do a whole bunch of wacky stuff with the games and, add some Hammond with 4 bastions attached to him or something like that, or a Super Malga. It's just very goofy stuff. It reminds me of some of the old stuff when Overwatch's Workshop first released, right? But yeah, I feel like Overwatch's Workshop needs a small update. It needs some small changes to it. I don't know what you would personally do, but I still think you should be able to place in assets from maps and move them around a little bit. You should be able to edit maps just slightly, just to make them feel a little bit more unique and create some more interesting experiences to make this game a bit more replayable in the custom game scenario. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, make a Overwatch thing where you can press a button and change your skin on demand during the game, so you can do an Overwatch fashion show or something like that, dress to impress. I don't really know. I really want to see Workshop get updated. It's kind of a shame that this was something that they did a while back, and now it's very much heavily abandoned. It's really kept alive by the community and the creators that do stuff on it. It's absolutely amazing. Now, that's the whole stuff on the core Overwatch stuff, the core gameplay stuff. So if you only cared about that sort of stuff, that's pretty much it. Now we're focusing more so the skins, the story, all that sort of stuff, right? Let's talk about the first thing. Loot box pool gets updated. Hopefully that happens. It does seem like that is probably going to be something happening in season 21. My guess, hopefully, simply because loot boxes came out a year ago from just around about now or something like that. February-ish is when we got the loot boxes announced for the game. Loot boxes announced for the game with the perks. So that's when that sort of thing, I always have every single item in the game in the legendary department. 491 out of 537. I've got every single epic, every single rare, every single common. Everyone comes to my stream, they're like, dude, open your loot boxes. You wait till the end of the damn season like everyone else does, okay? Sorry, that was a little bit of a crash out. I kind of find that message a little bit annoying, okay? I'm surprised I don't ban people that. Let's just start banning people, Anyways, loot box pool gets updated. I want some more exciting stuff to come out of the loot boxes. Now, which is where I move on to my next bit when it comes to loot in Overwatch, is that the progression system still needs an update. I feel like, I don't know if I talked about this in a previous video, but some of the rewards you get in the progression system are just so boring. I'm sorry, man. I don't really care for a golden Lucio JPEG, you know what I mean? This game really needs to start doing animated stuff in terms of cosmetics. We need animated name cards, we need animated icons, and once again, we need animated sprays. And if that rings a bell to you, Overwatch used to do animated sprays Overwatch used to do animated sprays a very long time ago. We used to have this sort of thing a while back, sorry. We had a golden kind of Genji thing, right? And there was ones for maps as well. Sorry, I've got to find one where it's actually got the thing going on, because unfortunately I've scrolled past a couple of them. see here, for example, there's some birds flying past. It's not anything too crazy, right? It's nothing, you know, revolutionizing, but it's something that'll kind of make players go, huh, that's kind of cool. I want that. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking just for top 500 rewards alone. I'm more so just talking adding them into the shop or adding them into the progression system, something like that. That sort of thing would be really, really good, because at the end of the day, the progression system still very outdated. Yes, we did get a gigantic update where we can get loot boxes for leveling up our characters, but there isn't really much of a point of it if you haven't updated the loot box pool. And then when I hit level 75, I get this. What? Do you understand how hard it is to level up characters? Well, I'm level 162 on Lucio, right? Do bear in mind I played on Steve a lot more, but how many I put like so many hours into Lucio. I mean, like 22 hours, 11 hours. I don't know. I feel like I was like level 140, and like even putting in about 40 hours, I've only gone up like 20 levels or something like that. I kind of miss the old progression system where it would value like your older stats with the whole whatchamacallit, like the speed boost assists and the environmental kills and all this sort of stuff. It was pretty cool to keep track of this sort of thing, and going forward and all that sort of stuff, and like to see how it is. It's like, yeah, level 57 solo kills. Like this sort of stuff was really cool. It's kind of weird that they went to like a more bare bones response and just said, yeah, you play the game, you level up. Let me do some stuff to level up my character faster. You know what I mean? And I hate to pull this card, but Marvel Rivals is doing animated icons, and they're giving out some like little currency for all that sort of stuff leveling up. You know, Overwatch needs to really take a page out of their book and do the exact same sort of thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, I don't want text. I want maybe 100 golden coins or 100 silver coins. You know, well, there is some of that stuff here already, but 100 golden coins for like maybe getting to level 100 wouldn't be too bad, because at the end of the day, it's $1 for getting to level 100. You know what I mean? Players would be like, yeah, if I just level up 6 more characters and finish the battle pass, I can buy the next battle pass for free. It only took me 400 hours, but it was worth it. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's that sort of stuff, right? Now, excuse me, sorry. I'm doing this all in one take. I don't care. More Mythic prisms. Is this a hot take? Probably not, because everyone wants stuff for a little bit cheaper and all that sort of stuff. I'm starting to think with Overwatch Mythics releasing every single season, some of them are degrading a little bit in quality. Some of them are still really good regardless. I absolutely adore Junkrat's Mythic. It is awesome. It looks absolutely sick. I love that Mythic so much. It's one of my top Mythics, right? I love Juno's Mythic. This is probably one of the best Mythics in the entire game, right? Argue with the Wall. You know, Spellbind and Widowmaker. I think this skin is cute. Some people don't really like it. That's fine, right? There are Ancient Call of Moira, one of the best skins, one of the best mythics in the entire game. Sigma Galactic, great. Adventurer, Tracer, really, really good. But the problem is that we're getting so many mythics every single season. We're getting, you know, a hero weapon. We're getting 2 mythics for 2 heroes, right? And it's kind of like some people can't keep up. That's fine, right? You don't need to own every goddamn mythic. I'm going to say this one right now. You don't need every single mythic. I don't care for the cast mythic. I was going to maybe get the Doomfist mythic, but I like Saitama Doomfist so much more that I don't really know if I'll get it, right? I like this Diva skin, but then they released Makoto Diva, and I'm kind of like, okay, thank God I didn't buy the entire thing, because I really wouldn't have used this skin ever again, because Makoto Diva, I love Makoto. She's my favorite character in Persona 5. She's one of my favorites. Then again, all the characters in Persona 5 are my favorites. I love you, Akechi, you awesome loser. Legend? Loser? Sorry, I was trying to do like legend and loser at the same time. I messed up, my bad. Anyways, it's like maybe there should be an event every single season where you just get 10 Mythic prisms or something like that. Is that too much? 20 Mythic prisms? You know what I mean? It's similar to maybe drives or something like that, where you just win a whole bunch of games of just quick play, arcade, whatever game mode you want to play, stadium. And once you maybe win, I don't know, if you win a certain amount of games in a row, you get 20 Mythic prisms or 10 Mythic prisms for winning maybe like 15 games, and then you only lose a little bit for losing a game, but then you can keep it in arcade, you can keep it in quick play, so the whole stakes of drives being like an absolute stressful nightmare kind of go away, but it gets people to really play the game a whole bunch more in other game modes. It gets arcade game modes alive a lot more and all that sort of stuff. It does make the game incredibly sweaty across every single game mode, but it would be a really cool feature just to kind of be like, hey guys, we're doing an event where you can get 10 Mythic prisms. So if you wanted to get an iridescent thing for one of your characters, you know, you can do that just from this whole event alone. Actually, how much is it for an iridescent? It's 20? Oh, piss off! Sorry. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, the next one is obviously another cosmetic thing. I really want more emotes. I really want more meme emotes. I want a T-pose emote for Lucio and Overwatch as a universal emote for all the characters. that would be really awesome. That whole T-pose video I did a while back was one of my favorite videos to make. There was a great little mini storyline about a scary Lucio stalking people. It was a really fun video to make, and it kind of feels like they don't really do many emotes that you can't really clip farm with, or make an entertaining kind of scenario going on of it, and all that sort of stuff to kind of BM your enemies and kind of get a laugh out of them. Maybe like, you know, yeah, it's a little bit toxic, but it's also kind of funny at the same time. If I get dumpstered by a Ramatra and then he T-poses on me, that's hilarious. You know what I mean? Ramatra's dance emote, I mean, that needs to happen this year. I mean, it's just like, I wouldn't blame people if they quit this game and give up on Ramatra entirely if they don't even do the dance mode. I know it's kind of like a joke and a meme to kind of care about this and all that sort of stuff, when the main thing we should be caring about is the gameplay and making sure it's fun to play and all that sort of stuff, and Zarya getting nerfed. But it's still a little bit, yeah, Ramatra's next to get a dance mode. Anyway, here's a bunch of other dance modes for characters because the tech on Ramatra is having issues. I don't really know, man. I don't know what's going on with Ramatra. I don't know what he's doing, man. His Lego piece might be out of place or something like that. But yeah, that's one of my last big things. And I'm honestly curious if Overwatch will go back to just being called Overwatch. You know, no longer being called Overwatch 2. I don't really think so, because in the most recent Winston thing, they said, oh, you know, the story continues in Overwatch 2. So maybe they're not going back to the whole, you know, Overwatch format. But since Overwatch kind of canceled its PvE and canceled some of the stuff, and it's really just, you know, a big update with a shop and, you know, more heroes and a live service model, it wouldn't really hurt to call the game Overwatch again. You know, it'd get rid of that whole confusion, because it's like, wasn't it called Overwatch 2 because of the PvE? And it's like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. Let's just call it Overwatch from now on. It's like, oh, wow, really, bro? You're giving... Yes, it's like people would still be pissed off about it and all that sort of stuff, but I think it'd be cool. Last but not least is I think the story should focus on a good chunk of characters, more solo stories for older characters, and really get crazy with the story this year. Yes, they're doing stuff with the story. They're, you know, bringing in the Water College and Fire College characters, yeah, but all that sort of stuff. But I legit want Overwatch to do controversial things in the terms of not something like offensive or bad or anything like that. More so something that really gets the community talking, really gets the community arguing about if this is a good choice moving forward for the story. Make a relationship happen between two characters in the game. Don't make it a character with one character in the game and then one's not available in the game and it's never going to be playable, something like that. You know, if you're doing more heroes a year, add in two characters that are already in a straight up relationship. They can be lesbians, they can be gay, they can be straight. It doesn't really freaking matter. Just have like two characters that are full on flirting with each other 24/7. That's kind of got people going, oh, what's going on here? Whoa! You know what I mean? It's like that sort of thing would be absolutely sick. And kill off a character. I don't care. Kill off Reinhardt. Someone needs to die. Have Arda and Reinhardt about kiss, and then Doomfist shows up and he goes, hey guys, what's going on? I'm Doomfist. Boom! 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 And that's right, Lucio jumps in, saves the day, saves Reinhardt, and then Reinhardt's like, what the hell? I could have tanked that, bro. Why did you do that? And all that sort of stuff. And Lucio's like, I don't know, man. I kind of wanted my hero moment or something like that. The Overwatch team's not giving me a Mythic, so I might as well just freaking die. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of like my whole stuff for stuff that I want for Overwatch in 2026. Sorry if this was a long Yap video and I didn't really have anything on screen to kind of keep people interested. You know, when I do these videos, I kind of hope you walk around the house or go do something else or play a game of Deadlock or something like that while you listen. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so glad I got this done, because every time I try and do this video, I struggle and I stutter so much. Who cares if I'm burping and farting and being all that sort of stuff? Who cares, man? Let's just do it. And guess what? I'm still in a 20-minute queue for CTF Blitz. Give me a server select. Let me play with console players. I don't care. I want to play CTF Blitz. Is that so much to ask for, Blizzard Entertainment? Anyways, at the end of the day, I do love the Overwatch team. They do make some good stuff at times. They do mess with me a bit too much at times. But hey, it's a mutual agreement, I guess. We're cliff farming each other, so it's all good. I wish nothing but, you know, good love towards the Overwatch team. Hopefully 2026 is a great year for you guys, and you guys lock in and make some really cool stuff. All right? Much love.